Computate. Let's go to computate.org and show you the new Syncthing cluster design. I'm going to click on Syncthing cluster and view the presentation. It's easy to design and install your own Syncthing cluster. The Syncthing application is available for all your devices. The iPhone supports one-way sync to the iPhone from another device thanks to the F-Sync application in the App Store. Android has full Syncthing support for free from Google Play. Windows, Apple, and Linux computers also have full Syncthing support for free. You can sync files over a VPN between two computers. It's simple to back up your files between devices. Devices start synchronizing as soon as they connect to the home network. And sync large files, no problem. I started computate.org because constructing software systems is a work of art. I'll help you learn powerful open source software systems on Linux. I'll help you launch your own website on your own hardware at home, like I did. Your sensitive data is always encrypted for your security. So for $50, you can visually design your own cluster, read custom documentation based on your design, run the customized bash script to step you through the whole install, update your design for the latest improvements, and always have a reference of how you set up your system. Everything is encrypted. So let me show you how to design your own Syncthing cluster. I have a Windows 7 computer, an Ubuntu 16.04 Linux computer, and a CentOS 7 Linux computer. We'll set up Syncthing on all three computers and get them syncing files to each other. Let's start on the Windows computer. So we start at computate.org and we'll log into the site. Now this is my Syncthing cluster. I've already entered a password for it here. And this is what it looks like. So you can add a network, add a Syncthing computer, and add a Syncthing server. Here we already have a network defined. Let me show you how we can delete this network and start from scratch. Just like that. Now we'll go over here and add a network. And it goes over there. Now, we can set our language to either English or French. We'll leave it as English. And my domain name is computate.org. I recommend having a domain name, but you don't have to have one. If you do, if you don't have a domain name yet, I'd go to a hosting provider and purchase one. They cost about $10 or $20 a year. So we're going to set up a few defaults. Syncthing application is going to be installed for a user called Syncthing and a group called Syncthing. And the server is where it's actually going to run under the username local and a group called Syncthing user. if you share the same group between multiple servers and users, then they can all have similar permissions within the group. So that's what I've done here. Now my network is going to be defined. Let's look at my network here. So if I go to ifconfig, IP adder, I have a network here, VRBR0, which is where my virtual machines are running. And they have a default gateway of 192.168.122.1/24. So that's what I'm going to use as my network here. 192.168.0/24. We save that and it'll refresh the design. It'll tell you your net mask, your gateway, and the max address within your network space. Okay, now let's go and add a Syncthing computer. This will be our Windows computer. It gets added over here. The host name is going to be Windows 1. We save that. Now the IP address here, let's find out what it is. ipconfig tells us it's 192.168.122.43. So let's put that in here. And we'll use the same /24 as our network right here. Now the operating system is going to be Windows 32-bit. That's what I'm running here. And it's going to install into C:\program files /syncthing. And we'll use a temporary directory for the download here. Now we're going to follow these instructions to set up our computer on Windows with Syncthing. So we'll start by making this directory. I'm going to open a command prompt as administrator for this one because you need extra permissions to create a folder in the program files directory. Okay. Now we need to download Syncthing from this URL here. And we'll download it into the downloads directory. We'll save this file. Okay. And there it is. We're going to open this up, and as our design says, we'll decompress the contents of the Syncthing Windows version 0423 into C:\program files Syncthing. So let's select all with Control A and copy them to the clipboard with Control C and go to C:\program files Syncthing and paste them right in here. And that's all I have defined to do here for Windows. I haven't set it up to install any services to keep it running, but if you wanted to, you could create a link and we'll take that link and we'll paste it into our users startup directory. Let's explore there and paste this link in there. So Syncthing will start up when you log in. But let's just go and run it right now. So it starts, and as soon as it started, it's going to launch the web page for Syncthing in the browser. And there we are, Syncthing is running on Windows. Now let's go install on our Ubuntu machine. So we're going to log into the site here. Access our Syncthing design. And you'll see our Windows computer here. Now we're going to add another Syncthing computer. And something I forgot to do was add a Syncthing server to the Windows Syncthing computer. Let's do that right now. So our Windows machine came down here, and we can assign it by clicking on this blank Syncthing computer space, and it highlights the Syncthing computers that are available, both of those in green, and we can click to assign them together. And now it's registered as Windows 1 as the Syncthing computer. So now let's go to our other computer and define this one. Let's find out the host name and the IP address for this machine. So we have a host name of ubuntu1.computate.org. And we have an IP address of 192.168.122.42/24. So we'll put that in right there and change the operating system to Ubuntu Server 64-bit. Now we need to assign the Syncthing server to the Syncthing computer. So setting up the computer just installs the Syncthing application, but it doesn't actually run a service. That's what the Syncthing server is for, is to run Syncthing as this user with this group, and the configuration goes into this directory here, and these are the connection parameters here. So let's go. This time for Windows we had to use the summary here because the design doesn't support bat files, bat scripts on Windows, but it does support bash scripts in Linux because we're all about Linux here. So we're going to download the bash script here, and we'll just save it to the downloads directory. So let's take a look at it here in downloads. So to run it, it's simple. You can make it executable, or you can type bash downloads cluster syncthing.sh. And I'm going to add an H parameter which will only show the descriptions of what's being run. It won't show the actual commands being run, but when you purchase your own Syncthing design, you'll be able to see the exact commands that are being executed here step by step. So to start off, we're going to create the user Syncthing. To do that, it requires sudo privileges. So we'll enter our sudo password here. Now we're going to create a directory for Syncthing in /opt/Syncthing. We're going to set the owner of that directory to be the Syncthing user and the Syncthing group. We're going to give permissions to read, write, and execute for that user and group to that directory. And now we download Syncthing. It's done. Now we need to extract it. And we're going to move the contents of the Syncthing Linux AMD64 version directory into /opt/Syncthing. And we're going to remove that inner directory because we don't need it anymore. Now we create the Syncthing user group and add the Linux user local to the Syncthing user group. Here we're setting up a systemd service so that when you reboot this box, it's going to keep Syncthing running as soon as it boots up. So Syncthing will always be running on this system. Now we just need to reload the service daemon, which keeps track of all the services in the system since we just added a new one. We're going to enable that service so that it starts. We're going to enable it to start when the system boots. And we're going to restart that service. And let's see if the service was successful. It's active and running. So we can move on. We'll hit the Q key and we're going to open the site. So there it is. Syncthing is running on Ubuntu. Now let's do the same thing on CentOS. So we're going to log in here. We have our Windows computer and server, our Ubuntu computer and server, And now we'll go and add a new computer and a new server. And you'll find those right here. So let me find out the host name and the IP address for this computer. So the host name is CentOS1.computate.org. We'll put that in right here. And the IP address goes here. And it is running CentOS 7 desktop 64-bit, so that's not going to change. We link the Syncthing server to the Syncthing computer, and we should be good to go. So let's download the bash script here. And we'll go and run that now. A lot like in Ubuntu, we'll create the Syncthing user, enter my sudo password, create the Syncthing directory, set the owner of that directory, give permissions, download Syncthing, extract it, move the contents, remove the inner directory. And in CentOS, it comes by default with firewall D, which is the firewall. Ubuntu doesn't have a firewall by default. So CentOS by default is more secure. So we're going to make sure that our CentOS box can trust all the other computers, or else it can't communicate. They can't communicate with the CentOS box because of its firewall. So we're going to make it so that our Windows 1 computer is trusted by our CentOS 1 box. And we're going to make that permanent, so it's always trusted. When you reboot the machine, it'll still trust Windows 1. And Ubuntu 1 as well. And this is probably redundant. We create the Syncthing user group and add the local user to the Syncthing user group. Create the service, reload the service daemon, enable the service, restart the service, and let's see if it works. So our Syncthing service is now active and running. Let's see the site. And there it is. We got all three running. So now we make them know about each other. It's pretty easy. We'll go to our Windows box and click Show ID. So this box starts with an A2. Let's go to our Ubuntu machine and scroll down to Add Remote Device. If we type in A2, it already knows about it right here. So we're going to add that device right here and give it a device name of windows1.computate.org, or whatever you want really. And that should be good for now. We'll save that. And then let's go to our CentOS box and see if it knows about the Windows box, A2. We'll scroll down to Add Remote Device, A2. Here it is right here. It already found it on the network. So we'll also give that a device name of windows1.computate.org. Save that. And let's add the Ubuntu machine as well. So it has a device ID of YE. So we'll go to Add Remote Device, search for YE, click on that. We'll call this ubuntu1.computate.org and save that. Now pretty soon these should start seeing each other. So our Windows box now knows about our CentOS box and our Ubuntu box. So we'll click Add Device to register it on both sides. Save. Add the Ubuntu box. Save. Okay. And so far this one knows about Windows, but not about CentOS. We'll try giving this a refresh. And wait and see. There it is. It found the CentOS box, so let's add that device and save. So now the Windows box knows about CentOS and Ubuntu. The Ubuntu box knows about CentOS and Windows, and the CentOS box knows about Ubuntu and Windows. So that's good. Now let's add some directories to sync. So this Windows box has its pictures directory containing a turtle, and the Ubuntu box has a pictures directory containing a cat, and the CentOS box has a directory pictures containing a dog. So let's sync these all together. I'll add a folder, call this Pictures, and the path is going to be right here. If we go to C:users, IE user, pictures, we'll get the full path to this site. Oh, I think we're going down for updates. Of course. Well, let's go back to the CentOS box and grab the path here with Control L. Add this folder, the folder label of pictures, folder path right there. We'll share this with Ubuntu 1 and Windows 1 and save that. Now let's go to our Ubuntu box, grab this path. It knows that it wants to sync this with CentOS, so we add that. We add the path, and we're going to share that with Windows as well. And pretty soon we should see these two synced together. Time could be no, it's time. And there's our pictures folder. So we'll add that. Give it a path to C:users, IE user, pictures. Copy that path right here. We'll share it with both computers and save. Now we just wait for it to sync. And there they are. Et voila! Our Syncthing cluster is complete and syncing together. So start designing your own Syncthing cluster now. The first person to purchase the Syncthing cluster design will win my next cluster design for free, followed by the 10th person and the 100th person and the 1000th person. It will be a libvirt virt cluster for setting up a virtualization hypervisor and managing your own virtual machines. So sooner you buy the Syncthing cluster design, the greater chance you have to win. And remember, switch to Linux, computate your way to success, and remember, life is terrific. Just enjoy it.